Welcome to the final lesson, the Capstone. 12 lessons ago, you couldn't tell a jail from a filter. Today, you can ship a multi-action, multi-jail Fail2ban deployment, write custom filters for any service, watch it on Grafana, and synchronize bans across an entire fleet. In this lesson, we'll do 4 things. Review what each stage taught you, hand you a 25-item production checklist, walk through the 5 mistakes even experienced operators make, and point you at what comes next. By the end, you've earned the title, Fail2ban Operator. So here's the whole journey on one screen. 4 stages, 12 lessons, 1 operator. Stage 1 gave you the foundations, what Fail2ban actually is, how to install it, and how log scanning works under the hood. Stage 2 was jails, the anatomy of jail.local, tuning max retry, find time, and ban time, and coordinating multiple jails at scale. Stage 3 turned you into a filter author with rejects, custom filters for any service, and the full action toolkit. And Stage 4 made it production grade, metrics, backups, and the certification you're sitting in right now. Let's walk back through Stage 1. The big shift here was conceptual. Realizing Fail2ban doesn't see traffic, it reads stories the demons leave behind in their logs and then tells the firewall what to do about it. Once that clicked, installation was almost anticlimactic. A package install, the SSHD jail flipped on, and you were watching real bans happen. And underneath it all, that same 4-step rhythm, tail, match, count, ban. The loop every jail you've built since then is just a variation on. Stage 2 is where you stopped copying configs and started authoring them. Lesson 4, broke jail, local down to its bones. Every directive, what it does, when to override it. 5 turned the 3 numbers into a vocabulary. Max retry and find time as sensitivity. Ban time as aggressiveness. Increment as a quiet, recitive policy. And 6 taught you that running 5 or 6 jails on one box is a coordination problem. Chain order matters, and recitive belongs first, so it short-circuits the rest. Stage 3 is where you stopped being a configurator and became an extender. 7 gave you the 6 rejects building blocks, anchors, character classes, quantifiers, greedy versus lazy, enough to read any fail rejects like English. 8 turned that into a repeatable 6-step workflow for writing filters against services Fail2ban has never heard of. And 9 opened up actions, IP tables versus NF tables versus IP set trade-offs, multi-action stacking, and a custom Slack webhook you can adapt to any HTTP endpoint you own. And then Stage 4 closed the loop. Lesson 10 gave you eyes, Prometheus exporter, 6 key metrics, 4 Grafana panels, 3 alert tiers, so silent failures stop being silent. 11 gave you a parachute, daily backups of jail.local, filter die, action, D, and the Skilight database rehearsed against 3 real disaster scenarios plus fleet-wide ban sharing. And 12, this lesson, is where we step back, walk the whole curriculum, and hand you the production checklist. So here it is, the whole thing on one page. Detection sits on top, the daemon, your filter files, the custom rejects you tuned in lessons 1, 3, 7, and 8. Underneath your jails, a clean jail, local with a default block and 5 to 10 sections. Then response, IP tables or IP set, buffered email, a Slack webhook, and operations wrapping it all, exporter, Grafana, backup cron, cross-server sync, 4 layers, 12 lessons, 0 exotic dependencies. And here's how you know it's actually production ready. 25 checkboxes grouped by layer. Config, filters, actions, monitoring, recovery, 5 columns mirroring the architecture you just saw. Run this list every time you stand up a new server or pull it out when you inherit someone else's install and need to audit. If every box is ticked, you ship. If 3 or 4 aren't, you know exactly which lesson to revisit before you do. Now, before you ship, let's talk about the traps. These 5 mistakes show up constantly. even on servers run by people who know what they're doing. Editing jail.conf and watching it vanish on upgrade. Skipping Fail2ban rejects and wondering why nothing bans. A webhook with no timeout that hangs the whole daemon. No monitoring, so a silent failure runs for weeks. And a backup that restores cleanly but loses every escalation in your SQLite database. Each one has a tell, each one has a fix, and each one points back to the lesson where you already learned the answer. So the course is done, but the work isn't, and that's the point. From here, 3 honest directions open up. Deepen. Stay inside Fail2ban. Read the source. Write filters, push patches upstream. Tune for the brutal end of the scale. Broaden. Pair it with the layers around it. CrowdSec for shared intel. A WAF in front, honeypots behind, CDN rate limits at the edge. Or scale. Stop running it by hand and start operating a fleet with Ansible, a SIEM, a distributed ban store. Pick the one that matches where you actually sit. Before you go, take stock of what you can actually do now. You can deploy Fail2ban from scratch on any server in about 30 minutes. 5 jails, custom filters, stacked actions. You can write a filter for a service nobody's seen before, layer bans with email and webhooks, wire up Prometheus and Grafana, recover from a wiped config or a corrupted database mid-attack, and synchronize bans across a fleet of any size. 6 skills. That's the certification. Not a PDF, but the muscle memory. So that's it. 4 stages, 12 lessons, and you've earned the title at the bottom of the screen. Fail2ban Operator. Certified. Foundations gave you the language, jails gave you the structure, filters and actions gave you the precision, and production gave you the resilience. You can secure a server. Now go secure all of them. Good luck out there.